Hello, everybody, and welcome to my first time reacting to a death battle. It's not my first time watching death battle. I've seen several in the past, some of which have been pretty good. I like Thanos versus Darkseid. I like Deadpool versus Deathstroke. Some of them are weird, but I think it's funny how they ended up, like Iron Fist versus Poe, and then some of them just aren't good, like Ben 10 versus Green Lantern. I don't mind that Ben lost, but the way they made him lose did not work. And none of their explanations for anything made sense either. But we're not here for that. Today, we are here for something I have been wanting them to do for a very, 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 very long time. Let me adjust the camera a slight bit. I feel like it's too close. Okay. That feels a little bit better. I've been waiting so long for them to do a Dragonborn death battle. So I don't know anything about Dark Souls. Never played Dark Souls. The only thing I know is that it's apparently like notoriously difficult to defeat bosses in that game. But I am all about Skyrim. I love Skyrim. As much as I wish they would just give us Elder Scrolls 6 already, Skyrim is my favorite video game. So, I'm all here for this. I feel like it could be either, even with me just not knowing anything about Dark Souls. If Chosen Undead over here is able to defeat these very difficult bosses that I hear Dark Souls is infamous for, then they're probably going to put up a good fight against Dovahkiin, who has all kinds of magic, all manner of weaponry, and depending on which race they choose, he has a certain power he's able to tap into. Yeah. I was considering recording the last one that they did. Adam versus Ant-Man. But, I decided not to. But when I saw that this was going to be the next one, I knew I was doing a reaction video to it. I am so here for this. I've been wanting a Dovahkiin battle for years and years, and I wish I was recording just my reaction to the drop of this one, because but we'll get to at least see my reaction to whatever the next one's gonna be, and of course the main event, which is the battle itself. All right, let's do this.
Undead, the accursed god killer from Dark Souls.
The last Dragonborn, the dragon-slaying savior of Skyrim.
Also, if it wasn't obvious, I am rooting for Dovahkiin to win.
Resigned to captivity, these two demi-human heroes embraced their destinies and stared down the very gods themselves.
And devoured their friggin' souls!
Because these two lack specific canon arsenals and movesets due to being role-playing protagonists, for this death battle we're giving them everything they have and maxing out all of their stats.
How's that gonna work? How is this gonna work? In terms of, like, I don't know, again, I don't know Dark Souls, but, like, how's this going to work for Dovahkiin? Because, like, if you're a Nord, you have Battle Cry. If you're an Argonian, you can breathe underwater and heal better. If you're a Khajiit, you can see in the dark. If you're a High Elf, you can get your magicka back faster. It has stuff like that. How's that going to work? I don't know how that's going to work. I'm excited. Does he have werewolf? Does he have the werewolf and vampire forms? Because you can glitch it and get both. Oh, there's so many. So many. I didn't even mention the dragon shots when I was talking about all the things Dovahkiin had. Because there's so much. But that's like the thing. I don't know how I forgot to mention that. I'm just very excited. I don't even care who wins, honestly. I'm just here for a really cool battle with this one.
It is totally possible in-game if you're willing to grind. He's Wiz and I'm Boomstick.
And it's our job to analyze their weapons, armor, and skills to find out who would win a death battle. Our story begins at the end. The great cities of old have collapsed. The heroes are dead or mad, and the Golden Age is over. Looking out upon their decaying kingdom, everyone would like nothing more than to lay down and die.
Too bad for them. That's the one thing they couldn't do.
The world has been gripped by the Undead curse, turning anyone with a mysterious dark sign into mindless, violent hollows upon repeated soul-crushing deaths.
But there is a prophecy of a chosen undead who will journey to Lordran, the home of the gods, and save the world.
Rotting away in an asylum, all it took...
Furtive pygmy descendant, ageless. Height, weight, gender variable. Prisoner of the Northern Asylum, merged into the soul of Cinder. Likes Tarkus Siegemeier. Priscilla dislikes Patches Basilisks. Easy. Easy mode.
Was an assist from an unlucky knight and a giant raven before one unlikely hero was ready to claw their way through their progenitor's forgotten homeland.
And it helps that as long as they can keep their sense of purpose, an undead will always resurrect at the nearest bonfire. Now, they might slowly lose their memories, their personality, and their sanity, but the curse gives them as much time as they need to get good.
Undead are unnaturally resilient, able to survive being impaled through the chest. They've been chewed, eaten, and digested.
Resurrection, immortality, soul absorption, superhuman survivability, miracles, sorceries, pyromancies, time and dimensional travel. Oh. That might give him an edge over Dovey. Resistance to poison, curse, acid, holy, and ooh.
By what I can only describe as a toilet demon. And they can have their souls torn from their very body, because undead humans don't need their souls to survive.
Undead lose their souls and humanity every time they die without immediate consequence. Their hollowed state is likely a revision to pre-flame lifeforms seen in the intro.
Just pop some of that spicy Sunny D and they're good to go. If anything, it seems like they get off to it. And speaking of souls, they can absorb the souls of their fallen enemies to increase their power.
They're a master with swords, hammers, spears, axes, bows, you name it. And that's without any formal training. With the right stats and setup, they can be anything from a cartwheeling assassin to a dragon-smashing tank.
To the giantest of dads. And despite the serious gothic themes of the series, these weapons can get anime as hell. Smo's great
Boss soul weapons, shields, Estus flask, humanity, dark sign, green blossom, dragon-headed torso stones, silver pendant rings.
Hammer is a ginormous mallet the size of a sedan.
Based on its size and likely bronze composition, it'd have to weigh over 100
huge.
tons. A lot like Goff's great bow, which can shoot pillar-sized arrows and one-shot dragons out of the sky.
Oh.
Or my favorite, the Moonlight Greatsword, produced from the ass of the albino dragon and founder of sorcery, Seath the Scaleless. This baby's a universe-hopping anomaly that can fire powerful sword beams and just looks so cool!
The chosen undead has learned magic.
I might need to play Dark Souls at some point. I would be absolutely awful at it. But I might need to play it at some point. This looks incredibly cool.
Magic from the greatest practitioners in the world. They can create shockwaves, form defensive barriers, reflect damage, throw balls of flame, control minds, fire magical crystal spears, turn invisible, and toss bolts of sunlight strong enough to peel the stone scales off of mortal dragons.
So their pool of magic is pretty limited.
Wrath of the Gods, Great Magic Barrier, Bountiful Sunlight, Homing Crystal Soul Mass, White Dragon Breath, Dark Orb, Chaos Storm, Iron Flush, Power Within, and more.
So, if it comes down to it, they can shut off all magic in the vicinity with the miracle Vow of Silence,
preventing anyone from speaking any spells aloud, including themselves.
Wait, speaking any spells. Okay. Well, that would shut off the Thume. I'm fairly certain. Thume is categorized as magic, and it is something that's actually said, but what about magic that isn't spoken? Like that. Like every other bit of magic in Skyrim.
With this incredible arsenal and judicious attention paid to the stamina bar, the chosen undead was rolling their way to victory.
A roll so powerful it bends the laws of space and warps them through attacks like they weren't even there. Though sometimes it doesn't work and it's bullshit.
That's just a game mechanic, but great to use when you're panicking.
They've defeated Nido, the god of death, the bed of chaos, the mother of all demon kind, and Calamite, the strongest surviving ancient dragon.
That was when the chosen undead was dragged back in time to
Is that
face the
Hermaeus
fallen
Mora?
knight Artorias, the greatest warrior in history. And not only defeat him, but accomplish the greatest feat attributed to Artorias' legend, the destruction of Manus, the father of the Abyss that threatened to...
In Dark Souls 3, the Abyss has begun to consume the sun. In the Undead Graves, where the flame has fully gone out, the sky is completely black, no sun or stars left shining.
consume the world.
They've even killed other chosen undead from alternate worlds, like the best buddy in all gaming, Solaire. Praise the sun, bro! And soon they were approached by these two slithery freaks. One said to link the fire, and the other said to let it die out, which totally makes sense. Wiz can explain it.
Don't look at me. Dark Souls lore is as notoriously convoluted as the flow of its time stream, which is why we have a true expert in the realms of nerdom to explain it for us.
Okay, but before we get into whoever that is, that's also how Elder Scrolls lore works. Elder Scrolls has a lot of contradictory points of view of different events that are all technically canon and all part of the main timeline via things called dragon breaks. So it's kind of a Schrodinger's cat situation of, yes, everything is canon, and also it's not. Except it just is.
Oh, Jocelyn.
You wouldn't believe how many item descriptions, forum posts, and Moody 2000...
Okay, now I just want to look at all of the... I just want to look at all of the Easter eggs in the background. There's some Mario flowers. I think that one in the front is Flowey though. There's Mega Man's blaster. There's the Infinity Gauntlet, X-Men comics. Oh, I don't know what that sword is.
2013 lore videos I had to watch through for this. It's story time, kids. In the beginning, the world was unformed and static. Then suddenly, the first flame burst to life, and with it, the concepts of heat and cold, life and death, energy and time, light.
Repair states, light is time, and the spell relies on the use of light to reverse an object's time, implying the first flame controls time, consistent with alternate timelines merging due to the flames fading. Okay, so the flame is kind of like Dark Souls equivalent to Dragon Breaks is what I'm understanding here.
And
Sounds like a mythological Big Bang.
the gods were granted immensely powerful souls from the first flame, but their greatest fear was the soul possessed collectively by the race known as humanity, the Dark Soul. The Skyfather Gwyn feared humanity's immortality, and so sealed their dark souls within them. But as humanity reproduced, the Dark Soul collectively grew and the first flame waned. Turns out humans were naturally undying, or according to the gods' propaganda, undead.
Gasp! It's all a conspiracy. The undead curse was a lie!
Linking the fire means using your very soul as fuel to keep the first flame burning. If an undead champion believes their immortality is a curse, they'll do anything to prevent it, including burning fragments of the Dark Soul to keep the Age of the Gods going.
So you're a pawn in a game played by decrepit gods desperately clinging to power. Well, that's a huge bummer.
They might look like a depressed California raisin, but in order to link the flame, their soul needs to be strong enough to maintain the whole universe.
First Flame's direct control over fundamental aspects of the reality, like energy, light, and time, combined with individual souls being able to maintain the pocket dimension paintings, is enough to conclude it is a universal-level energy source. Okay.
And the flow of time for another 1,000 years.
Other similarly powerful undead across time are swift enough to dodge lightning and even light itself.
Link the First Flame, or became the Dark Lord, rang the bells of awakening, ascended Sen's fortress, captured the four Lord's souls, survived the Honor Londo archers, defeated Ornstein and Smog? I don't know Dark Souls. Four Kings, Pinwheel, and Gwyn.
Based on their dodge,
I'm trying my
Verna's
best here
beam
with the
and
Dark
time
Souls
it
stuff.
took
I
to
don't know
reach
what
them,
any of it
they'd
means.
be reacting and moving at over 20% the speed of light.
At the end of their quest, they faced down and defeated Gwyn, the Lord of Cinder, long hollowed from linking the flame 1,000 years ago. So, which will you choose? Link the fire and prolong the current age, or let it fade until only dark remains?
This is the biggest bummer of them all. Truth is, it never mattered. The cycle just continues age after age, with new heroes replacing the old ones, until the chosen undead was long forgotten.
Until the infinite march of time ground the world to ash. It was never about the happy ending. It didn't exist. It was about the struggle to get there. That's ultimately what gives us meaning.
Okay. Very
This
poetic.
episode of Death Battle is sponsored by Brandon.
Okay, well,
That's right, Boomstick. Dive into the thrilling world of versus music with Brandon.
sorry. My video isn't sponsored, so. On to Skyrim.
Finally awake. Welcome
Yep.
to the frosty Viking paradise of Skyrim.
Now we can get into stuff that I actually know and understand. Let's do it.
Visit the quaint Nordic villages. Hike up to the throne of the world. Marvel at the beauty of Blackreach.
No, absolutely not. That is the worst location in the game. I will not. It does look cool, but it is the worst location in the game. If you're ever playing the game, okay, and you're doing the main quest line, don't go where it tells you to go. It tells you to go to Alftown. Don't do that. Go to Raudbathar. You go to Raudbathar and use that entrance to get into Blackreach. You have a straight shot to the tower where the Elder Scroll is. Do not go to Alftown, because then you're spending too much time in the worst location of the game. Go to Raudbathar.
Hey, what's that in the sky? Why, it's Macho Man Randy Savage. No, it's Thomas the Tank Engine.
No, that is a dragon. But not just any mere
Oh.
drink. This is Alduin, the World Eater. And he's come to burn everything to a cinder.
But fortunately for you, his path of destruction happened to interrupt your impending execution at the hands of those uppity Imperial pigs. That'll be the worst mistake this scaly monster would ever make.
It
True.
wouldn't be long before you escaped the destruction of Helgen and defeated a dragon yourself.
Then absorbed its freaking soul.
That could only mean one thing. You are a being born with the blood and soul of a dragon in the body of a Nord, or elf, or Khajiit, or lizard dude destined to battle Alduin and save
That's where it's going to
the
get
world.
weird.
In their tongue, you are the Dovahkiin, Dragonborn.
In their quest to rid Tamriel
AKA the Dovahkiin. Height 6 feet. Depends on what you're picking. Male Northern promo material. Blood and soul of a dragon. Incarnation of the prisoner. Blessed by Akatosh. Also blessed by Todd Howard. It just works.
of Alduin's dragon army, the Dragonborn became a jack of all trades, master of all.
They
A Wabbajack of all trades.
learned to be a master assassin with the Dark Brotherhood, a master sorcerer with the College of Winterhold, a master thief with the Nightingales, a master dragon hunter with the Blades, and a
No, we don't condone the blades here. No. Parthenax worked to stop Alduin. Parthenax gets to live. If Delphine and Esbern don't like that, then the blades just aren't rebuilt. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. Also, Delphine and Esbern are two of the worst characters in the game anyway. It's not worth it.
master good boy. Who's a good boy? That's a good boy.
They even fought in the Skyrim Civil War.
Dragon soul absorption, immortality, weapon mastery, shouts, spellcasting, stealth, smithing, alchemy. Nah.
On the side of the Imperial Legion, champions of order.
You mean the Nordic War for Independence on the side of the Stormcloaks?
Those elf-funded Nord supremacists?
Better than those jack-booted Cyrodiil fascists? But what else could...
Oh, I see we're on different sides of that. Honestly, I think we should go back to the war that was existing before the White Gold Concordat, where all those Skyrim is fighting against the elves, because the elves are kind of pulling the strings, but if Tullius and Ulfric would team up and unite Skyrim against the elves and keep them out of Skyrim, it would go a lot better. Basically, what I'm saying is I agree with Ulfric, but you need the backing of Tullius.
Could I expect from a monster who steals from innocent villagers by sticking buckets over their heads?
They can put their skills to good use with an absolute glut of weaponry. Not just the usuals like daggers, swords, hammers, and axes, but also special weapons given to them by the Daedric princes.
They're basically crazy powerful gods from the plane of existence called Oblivion. From that wascally wabbit Sheogorath.
Daedric artifacts, amulets, scrolls, light and heavy armor, arrows and bolts, potions, poisons, food. I like how that's part of the arsenal. Yeah, the cheese to die for.
Dragonborn receive the Wabbajack, a staff that casts a completely random spell on its target, from disintegrating them to healing them to turning him into a chicken.
From Meridia, they received the Dawnbreaker, a holy sword made for burning the undead to ash. That's similar to Oriel's bow, which can shoot fiery arrows that can blot out the sun.
I feel like that might be good against, you know, the chosen undead. I feel like that might come in handy.
Cover the distance between the Earth and the Sun in about 2 seconds, the arrow would have to be moving at over 250 times the speed of light.
Okay, but... Okay, hold on. Here's the thing. I don't think this is accurate. This isn't accurate. I'm gonna let it slide because it's the only way that we can really have a frame of reference, but it's not accurate. Because stars in the Elder Scrolls universe aren't like stars in real life. They're not giant balls of flaming gas. Stars in the Elder Scrolls universe are where Magnus and all of the other deities left. They abandoned the project to create Nirn whenever they realized that Lorkhan was going to destroy, or not destroy, Lorkhan's creation of Nirn would have resulted in them dying. That's why the Aedra technically aren't around anymore. The Daedra didn't want anything to do with creating it, and Magnus and the Magna Gi are kind of this gray area where they helped, but then once they realized what was going on, they left, bursting through Oblivion, which is all the dark stuff, into Aetherius, which is where all the light pours in, through all of the stars, including the sun, which does beg the question of how Oriel's bow does what it does, if the sun isn't a real sun. But the sun isn't a real sun. That's my point. And also that's where the magic comes from in the Elder Scrolls universe, is all of the holes in Oblivion to Aetherius bleeding magic to Nirn. So this isn't accurate. I guess that the hole might be the same distance. Maybe. The sun in the Elder Scrolls universe is where Magnus himself burst through. He made the largest one, and then all of the other Magna Gi made the smaller ones that make up the stars. I guess it might be the same distance, but I feel like there's a caveat there because of the difference in how it works.
Light. Except this isn't Earth and the Sun. This is the planet Nirn, and that's Magnus. According to the Elder Scrolls lore master Michael Kirkbride and his in-universe text cosmology, when you look up at the sun, you're actually
The arrows are described as working by traveling to the sun, Magnus, and temporarily altering the magical connection between Nirn and the gods responsible for sunlight. I told you! I told you! The stars are the bridges to Aetherius, the metrical plane. They're perceived as holes on the inside surface of space. The largest tear in Oblivion is Magnus, the sun.
Looking into a dimension of pure magic. Confused yet? I am.
Exact measurements here are difficult to make, but if anything, the distance should be much greater.
Speaking of magic bullshit, the Dragonborn can heal themselves, cast wards and destructive elemental spells, control minds, conjure weapons, and summon lesser Daedra to help them out in a scrap.
They're an especially powerful mage because their mana recovers itself automatically over time. They'll never truly run out of firepower. But as a Dovahkiin, the ability they're most famous for is the Thum, or Shout. By speaking the words of the dragon language, they can manifest their will into reality.
Like with the classic Fus Roda! An unrelenting force which can knock your neighbors into next week. Or Soul Tear, which removes the soul from your enemy's body and stores it in a cute gem.
Hey! You got the wrong one. You gave it back to Azura. You're not supposed to do that. Now it's useless. You gotta take it to the guy in Winterhold. Now, it's useless now. Nice job, Boomstick. It's useless. Solitaire is my favorite shout. If I have Solitaire available, that's what I'm using all the time, because it's so good for enchanting items. Not with that, though. It's useless like that.
Like so. Reversal! Wait, why didn't anything... Oh.
Student loans, man. Something had to cover the down payment. With the shout, the Dragonborn...
Damn. Oh, poor Wiz. Aura Whisper, Become Ethereal, Bend Will, Dragon Aspect, Dragon Ren, Drain Vitality, March for Death, Whirlwind Sprint. I use Drain Vitality a good amount. Dragon Rend only when I'm fighting a dragon. I never really use any of the others at all. Ever. No, I use Mark for Death sometimes. That's a pretty good one. Obviously Dovahkiin has used Storm Call in that little frame right there. Because, yeah. I like Ice Form. I think Ice Form's a pretty good one, too.
Can summon country-spanning storms, slow down time, and even call upon a dragon for help. Odahviing. Dragons may look like
Or
scary
Dirtavir.
reptiles, but in reality, they're immortal demigods older than time itself. They're the children of the chief god of Tamriel's pantheon.
The Dragonborn is an unstoppable force of nature. If they happen to take any damage, they can just drink a potion or nosh on a cheese wheel and be good as new. And they can carry up to 150 cheeses at once. My dream.
Assuming these abnormally large cheese wheels have an average weight of 70 pounds,
No way, no shot are we determining the Dragonborn's ability to carry things based off of the cheese. Being over-encumbered is typically the biggest weakness of being the Dragonborn, though.
we can determine that the Dragonborn can carry up to 10,500 pounds of cheese.
And that makes sense, considering they can match muscles with giants, who are so strong they can shatter the game's spaghetti code to pieces.
The last Dragonborn has battled...
Read one of the Elder Scrolls. We read two. You read Dragon and you read another one. I don't think you read the one that Serana had. Or I think you open up all three and then it shows you where Oriole's bow is, I think. But you definitely read at least two. You read the one in the Dawnguard quest and you read one in the main quest. I think maybe only Dexian reads the one that Serana had. Maybe. Aided or executed Ulfric Stormcloak. Yeah. Or Tullius. Caught the serial killer Calixto. Y'all wit for the Butcher. Okay. Escaped Sidna Mine. Yeah. Cured Pelagius the Bad. Cured is... not the right word. Mended. Reunited Rookie and Fenrig. I don't remember that one. Pranked people with Sanguine. I love that quest. Defeated Alduin, the Ebony Warrior, Patema, Mirak, and Harkin. That's what's going on right there. I've never beat the Ebony. I've never gotten to the point of the Ebony Warrior spawning, because the highest level I've gotten to is 65, and that's 80. It's like, that is a grind I don't think I'm ever going to get to. Patema's an interesting choice to include there. Yes, but still.
The vampire Lord Harkon ended Skyrim's civil war and defeated the first Dragonborn, Mirak.
And according to the book, the Guardian and the Traitor, Mirak was...
While originally speculated to be mythological, Mirak's existence was confirmed in the last Dragonborn DLC. The Ansei warriors also sank the island of Yakuta, making this consistent. Okay.
powerful enough to tear apart the island of Solstheim on Skyrim's mainland.
By comparing the size of various countries on Tamriel's map, we can determine that Solstheim is a landmass nearly 1,500 miles in diameter. In order to move that much land over the course of their fight, Mirak's magical prowess must have output an energy over 300 teratons of TNT.
That's 3 times the impact of the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs.
Not too crazy when shouts can get strong enough to shake the world itself.
It wasn't long before the Dragonborn confronted Alduin in Nord Heaven and put an end to the World Eater once and for all.
The epithet is literal. By absorbing the souls in Skyrim's afterlife, Alduin was powerful enough to devour everything. Not just the planet of Nirn, but the Kalpa, the entire timeline past, present, and future.
That's the level of unimaginable power the Dragonborn is dealing with here.
Tamriel is no stranger to great heroes across its vast, sprawling history. The Nerevarine, the hero of Kvatch, all magnificent in their own right.
But when you heard that shout echo through the mountains and the death throes of a dragon defeated, you knew it could only be the Dovahkiin. Dovahkiin, Dovahkiin.
That's not how the song goes.
Hey, Wiz, did you know that I can blow up a galaxy?
What? How?
I signed up for a Death Battle YouTube membership by clicking the join button on any Death Battle video or the YouTube channel. You can pick from 3 different tiers full of extra goodies.
You all go do
Sport
that.
Champions get
You all go do that.
What are you?
All of you go do that.
All right, combatants are set. You've run the data
Let's go.
through all possibilities.
This, again, like I said, I'm fine with either of them winning. I can easily see it going either way. I want Dovahkiin to win. I probably won't be mad if he loses. It really depends. It really depends on how.
It's time for a Death Battle!
Alright.
Go and stop this fool who would let the flame burn the age of humans to ashes. The Ancients of Dark will do anything to snuff out the light. Save us, chosen undead.
Oh. I knew it! I knew it! How did you survive that? Hey! It was the black star that time. Like I said, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to turn it into the black star. Don't take it back to Azura. You'll ruin it. Odaving! Yeah, it's gonna keep coming back. Well, there's a new dragon soul. I'm liking this song, by the way. I need to listen to this track. Yeah. Yeah. I figured that was gonna happen the minute they brought it up.
Prepare to die.
Save this world, chosen warrior. Bring the fire! Let true dark be cast upon the world. Our Lord hath returned.
Wait. Who won?
KO!
You die!
Wait.
God, this boss is bullshit!
This debate was fascinating.
Wait, no, that almost looked like a tie. I mean, I figured if Dovahkiin was gonna win, Dawnbreaker would kind of be like the main thing because of that ability to take down the undead, but that almost looked like a tie.
The Dragonborn had a wider variety of training, better access to summons, and magic that passively regenerated, as opposed to the chosen undead's limited pool of magic.
Vow of Silence was a slick counter to the Dragonborn's magic and shouts, but it wouldn't last forever.
The Dragonborn was significantly faster, too. The Chosen Undead could dodge beams of light, sure, but Oriel's bow could fire arrows that move at least 2.
Given that the Arrowbody passes through the infinite dimension of Oblivion to reach Magnus, the actual speed of the arrows is arguably infinite as well. Like I said, the actual distance doesn't really work.
250 times that.
But none of that mattered if the Chosen Undead couldn't stay dead.
You'd think the Dragonborn's anti-undead weaponry like Dawnbreaker would be an easy solution, but the undead of Dark Souls aren't really the same as Draugr from Skyrim.
Skyrim undead are more like those classic reanimated skeletons. But remember the conspiracy. Humans in Dark Souls are naturally immortal. They're not actually undead.
Soul Tear wouldn't have been much use either, considering humans in Dark Souls can have their souls removed without dying.
So why didn't the Chosen Undead just keep coming back until they eventually won? Like with any Dark Souls boss.
One word, power. The Dragonborn had way more and greater feats of raw power than the Chosen Undead.
Oh yeah, like summoning country-spanning storms.
Staff of Magnus is also capable of countering the power of the Eye of Magnus, which has the power to remake the entire world of Nirn. Theoretically. We're never really fully given the story on the Eye of Magnus, not on Skyrim anyway.
With a single shout, or defeating Mirak, who split a continent.
There's also the lore. Both characters are essentially mythological demigods in the same kind of vein as Hercules or Sun Wukong. Gameplay alone won't give you the best idea of their full power as characters.
So, let's get an idea of their max potential from the lore.
The Chosen Undead sustaining the First Flame with their soul was insanely impressive. Considering the First Flame is responsible for the core concepts of the universe, like energy and time, it's not a stretch to say it affects not just the planet they live on, but the whole universe.
But that's nothing compared to the power levels in the Elder Scrolls.
Let's compare the First Flame to Alduin. Both literally run on the power of souls, and both can be directly scaled to our combatants.
Alduin had strength to consume the universe, not just Nirn, but the Kalpa as well.
You know those planets you see in the sky? According to cosmology, those are actually...
Alduin claims to have waxed in power since ancient times and to be full of souls during his battle with the Dragonborn, and Mirak claimed to be capable of casually defeating Alduin. Claimed, but probably could have.
Separate, infinitely big...
He absolutely would. Alduin has the most underwhelming fight of the big three in that game. Harkon is more difficult, and Mirak is the most difficult out of the big three. Ebony Warrior obviously would be the most difficult overall.
Big planes of reality. Alduin was going to eat infinity. Multiple infinities.
In comparison, the first...
Chosen Undead. Greater survivability, resurrects upon death, but will eventually go hollow. Too slow and weak to win, more limited arsenal. Dragonborn. Far more powerful, much faster, regenerating mana. It's magicka. Greater variety, can only die once.
Flame is powerful enough to sustain a universe and the flow of time, but it can't be infinite. Otherwise, it never would have faded to begin with.
And that meant the Chosen Undead just...
Undead that have been significantly hollowed out can even lose their will to stand or move, let alone fight, effectively dead. This happened to Sigmir in Ash Lake.
Wasn't powerful enough no matter how many times they revive. With that much of a difference in power, the Chosen Undead would eventually lose their will to fight and go hollow. It's not traditional, but it is a form of death in Dark Souls. The Chosen Undead was surely tenacity personified, but still wasn't enough to stand up to the Dragonborn's incredible skill, broken arsenal, and overwhelming power.
The Chosen Undead could only last so long before they flamed out.
The winner is the Dragonborn.
That's my boy, Dovahkiin.
Thanks for watching. Stay tuned. We have a new death battle releasing every 2 weeks this year. And click the
Let's
join
see what the
button
next
to get
one
new
is.
perks and extra content. Planet level members even see death battles before anyone else, so don't miss out.
What are we getting next? I don't know either of those characters, to be honest with you. Well, that was slightly underwhelming on my part for what the next one was going to be. Sorry. That was great. I absolutely loved that. Oh, I loved that so much. Oh, I loved that. That was so cool to watch. This is one of the better death battles. This is easily one of the better death battles. not just saying that because the one I wanted to win did win. Because if the other one did, if Chosen Undead had won in a way that makes sense, I wouldn't have been mad about it because the fight would have been good regardless. That was a fantastic fight. I loved that. I absolutely loved that. That was amazing. Also got to do a little bit of flexing of my well-versedness in Elder Scrolls lore. You know, right before they would go on to also explain the same exact thing that I did. Oh, that was great. I loved it. That was fantastic. Very nicely done. So, I don't think I'm going to do a reaction to the next one just because I don't know anything about those two characters, but I might do another one. I'm very much considering doing a look back at Ben 10 versus Green Lantern and explaining my thoughts on why I went wrong and what doesn't make sense. I know it's been several years since then, but I do kind of want to get my thoughts out on it anyway. This has been really good to watch. Absolutely love this battle. This was great. Whew. So, anyway, all that being said, do all of that YouTube algorithm stuff, like, comment, subscribe, all of that. Sweet, sweet algorithm stuff. And I will see you when I see you.